Hi guys, Dan the Mountain Man here, and today we're in Charleston, South Carolina. We're getting ready to take a harbor tour, so I hope you guys would come along with me and enjoy this, and we'll see what we learn about the harbor of Charleston. Alright, well, I'll see you guys in a little bit when we're on the boat.
houses. Again to our right, guys, where you see the brick impoundment, that is Fort Moultrie, originally called Fort Sullivan. There has been a fort in this location since 1776. That first fort was built out of palmetto logs and sand, but destroyed by a coastal storm, and replaced in 1798 with a fort built out of earth and timbers. It too fell victim to a coastal storm, and was replaced in 1809 by the fort you see here today. It's built out of bricks and earth. It was modernized in the 1870s and active through World War II. Edgar Allan Poe was stationed here in 1827-1828, and is said to influence many of his works, including The Gold Bug. This fort was also the site of the first major naval engagement of the Revolutionary War. June 28, 1776, 1 week prior to the signing of the Declaration of Independence, the British Navy, in an effort to quell the rebellion here in the South, sailed into our harbor and began attacking this fort. After their first round of shots, they paused, and they heard laughter coming from inside the fort. It turns out that cannonballs bounce off of palmetto logs. So in the first documented case of recycling, our guys went out there, picked up those cannonballs, brushed them off, and fired them right back at the British. As you can imagine, that angered the British, so they sailed in even closer. They got stuck on a sandbar, and in a 9-hour battle, we were able to easily defeat them, completely destroying 3 of their ships and heavily damaging the other 6. That was a major morale booster for us at the time. Here we are, a bunch of rednecks in a fort built out of palmetto logs and sand. We just want to tell you this is the strongest thing in the world. So, following that battle, the name of the fort was changed to Fort Sullivan, Fort Moultrie. Let's take a minute here. Let's fast forward to 1989. 1989 is when Hurricane Q located that nice hit here in Charleston. The ISS storm came straight into Charleston Harbor. We're just way up the river. We're going into the areas of Columbia and then Charlotte, North Carolina. That was an absolutely devastating storm. Sullivan's Island, Island Palms, Wando, and Potomville were all but erased off the map. Mount Pleasant, downtown, and areas to the south also suffered significant damage. Now, in 1989, the only way to get over here to Sullivan's Island was the Ben Sawyer Memorial Swing Bridge. That bridge was locked down prior to the storm. When the locks could not withstand the winds, they broke, and that bridge spun around on its pedestal until one end fell into the water and the other end pointed towards the sky. It took several months to repair that bridge, and in the meantime, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and other local, state, and federal agencies were tasked with getting people and supplies back and forth to Sullivan's Island in an effort to begin rebuilding. The Sullivan's Island that you see here today, guys, this is one of the most expensive zip codes in the country. These are incredibly high-priced homes. Reese Witherspoon has a home over here on Sullivan's Island. Neil Earnhardt Jr. has a home on Sullivan's Island. Bill Murray used to have a home on Sullivan's Island, but he could not behave himself, and now his ex-wife has a home on Sullivan's Island. Bill Murray is forced to live over in Mount Pleasant. He is a fixture in the Charleston community. He owns our local minor league baseball team, as well as a couple of area restaurants. He is also very well known for having a few too many adult beverages and going around photobombing people. So don't be surprised if you get photobombed by Bill Murray while you're here in Charleston. Straight out in front of us and along our right side is the town of Mount Pleasant. It was first settled in 1680 on an expedition led by Captain Florentina O'Sullivan. He was granted over 2,300 acres, including Sullivan's Island that bears his name. Mount Pleasant didn't get its name until the mid-1700s, and that was from Jacob Mott. Jacob had a plantation on the edge of Ship Creek, and together with his wife Rebecca, they had 19 children on that plantation. If Rebecca carried every child for 9 months, that means she was pregnant for 14 years and 3 months. Jacob died in 1781, Rebecca lived till 1815, and they are both buried in St. Philip's Church in downtown Charleston. Now guys, it's going to be about 10 or 12 minutes to our next point of interest. That was a great time to go see Will at the Belle Cafe. Get a nice Bloody Mary or local craft beer, then sit back, relax, and enjoy the beautiful Charleston Harbor. The young lady from Photogenic will be coming around with the morning photos. If she doesn't make it to you during the break, those photos will be on the dock after the tour. I'll turn the music on. I'll be back with you in a few minutes. So if you look at about 11 o'clock off the bow of the boat, you see a big gray warehouse. And behind that warehouse, you see a brown and white square building. That is the Francis Marion Hotel, and it was completed in 1924. The church steeple to the right of that is St. Matthew's Lutheran Church. It was finished in 1872, and it's 265 feet tall. The tallest object in downtown Charleston. Now, people sometimes like to argue and say the white building straight out in front of us our left, guys, the island between us and downtown is Schute's Folly Island, owned by Joseph Shute in the 1740s. That island used to be almost 200 acres size, but it's got smaller over time. It's kind of like throwing sand on a hole. Sand on the hole will make you fall in. Fort is Fort Castle. Yorktown. The Yorktown is located at Patriots Point. Patriots Point used to be known as Hog Island, but Hog Island is a horrible name for a world-class maritime museum, and the name was changed to Patriots Point. Today, Patriots Point is home to the aircraft carrier USS Yorktown, the destroyer USS Laffey, and the submarine SS Savagor. I'll tell you more about all three of those ships once we're closer, but for the next couple of minutes, you'll have some great photo opportunities with the Ravenel Jr Bridge in the background. It was commissioned in 1945 and served until 1975. That submarine did not participate in World War II, but it did patrol around Cuba during the missile crisis. Over the last several years here at Patriots Point, they've been spending a ton of money. Several years ago, the USS Laffey was taken to the shipyard and her entire bottom was replaced at a cost of $15 million. They recently painted the USS Yorktown, another very expensive endeavor. So unfortunately, as you can see, the Clambagore has fallen on hard times and disrepair. There is not a whole lot of historical significance to the submarine, and in the near future they will turn it into an artificial reef. The destroyer, USS Laffey, DD-724, she was built by the Bath Iron Works in Bath, Maine. Commissioned in 1944 and served until 1975. She bombed Utah Beach in Normandy on D-Day and then was repositioned to the Pacific. And on April 16, 1945, while supporting the invasion of Okinawa, she was surrounded by an estimated 50 Japanese warplanes. She took a direct hit from 3 bombs and 5 kamikazes, but maintained a working gun and propulsion for the entire battle. Once she was safely back to port, she had earned the nickname the Ship That Wouldn't Die, and her captain wrote a book of that same title. During World War II, she earned a Presidential Unit Citation and 5 battle stars. She earned 2 additional battle stars during Korea. The star of the show over there, the USS Yorktown, the CV-10 The Fighting Lady, built by Newport News Shipbuilding in Virginia. Commissioned in 1943 and served until 1970. This ship wasn't originally going to be called the Yorktown, but the Yorktown prior to her, the CV-5, was sunk at the Battle of Midway, and this ship was renamed halfway through construction. She is 888 feet long, 93 feet wide, draws 30 feet of water, and can do in excess of 30 knots. She was home to 3,000 men and 90 aircraft. Modernized in the 1950s to accommodate jet aircraft, that's primarily what you see on the flight deck now. Down below on the hangar deck are the older propeller-driven aircraft. This ship was the star of the movie Tora, Tora, Tora. Half of her was painted to look like a Japanese carrier, and the other half an American carrier. And on October 16, 1968, she pulled the Apollo 8 crew out of the ocean. That was the first manned space capsule to go around the moon. She is also home to the one and only Medal of Honor Museum. Now guys, you've already done the number one thing to do here in Charleston, and that's go out on the Carolina Belle with Captain Tripp. Patriots Point is a very, very close second. I cannot recommend it to you enough. There is something for everybody to see and do at Patriots Point, so take the time to go over there and check it out. And when you do, make sure you give yourself enough time, at minimum a half day, and that probably won't get you all the way through the carrier, so plan accordingly. Straight out in front of us, guys, we have the Ravenel Jr Bridge. Back in the year 2000, we had 2 bridges crossing this river. They did a safety inspection on those bridges, and one of those bridges scored a 4. Now, that wasn't a 4 on a scale of 1 to 10 for safety. That was a 4 on a scale of 1 to 100. So that got people's attention, and they asked Ravenel Jr., a retired congressman, to go back to Washington and lobby to get money to build a new bridge. He was very successful. He got us $780 million to build this bridge. Now, it's completely unheard of when you talk about government spending, but we didn't use all of that money. We only spent $630 million, saving $150 million taxpayer dollars. In addition, the bridge was completed 1 year ahead of schedule. It opened in 2005. It is 2.4 miles long, 8 lanes wide, 4 in each direction, and it's designed to accommodate 85,000 cars a day. In addition to that, there is a biking and pedestrian path on the bridge, but if you've seen me, you know that I've only seen that from a car. Those towers, they're 572 feet tall. They are the tallest man-made objects in South Carolina. They're hollow, but the walls are 2 feet thick, and each one has an elevator for maintenance and safety inspections. The distance between the two towers is 1,586 feet, and the roadway is 186 feet above the water. This bridge is designed to withstand winds of 193 miles an hour and an earthquake of 7.3 on the Richter scale. The last major earthquake here in Charleston was in 1886, and it was a 7.3 that lasted 1 full minute. It damaged or destroyed 90% of Charleston, was felt as far south as Miami, as far north as Boston, and as far west as St. Louis, Missouri. As you can see, both towers are surrounded by rocks, and by the time those rocks get to the bottom, they cover almost 5 acres on each side. They are laid out so that a fully loaded container ship doing 12 knots can be brought to a complete stop before any damage is done to the bridge. Over to the right underneath the bridge, that is all that remains of the other 2 bridges. The town of Mount Pleasant cut the pilings down to just above the water level, and they built a waterfront park and fishing pier. In a normal year, every Tuesday that park would be home to a free concert by a nationally known act. Also to the right underneath the bridge in the distance, you see the blue and white container cranes. That is the Wando Welch Container Terminal. That is one of 2 container terminals we currently have in Charleston, while a 3rd container terminal is under construction on the Cooper River. Over the next minute or so, guys, I will make my way underneath the bridge. I'll turn parallel with the bridge, and I'll give you a warning. Consider this your first warning. I'm going to blow the horn. The horn is very loud, but makes a very, very cool echo underneath the bridge, especially days like today where we don't have a whole lot of wind. So I am warning you now. I'll warn you one more time, and I will not be accountable to anyone who may need a change of clothing after I've blown the horn. I can't lie to you guys, that is my favorite part of the job, and since I'm the captain and I can do what I want to blow it one more time. Were turned into artificial reefs and the steel was recycled. Over the last 42 years, all 3 of the bridges have been home to the Cooper River Bridge Run. That is the 3rd largest 10K race in the world. The first Saturday of every April, 40,000 people pay money, line up, and then they run across this bridge on purpose.
Okay, guys, that was a harbor tour of the Charleston Harbor through Charleston Harbor Tours. I really enjoyed this one. I'll put the information below so you can do this tour. And well, if you're in Charleston, I suggest you come down and try this one. Okay, guys, well, I'll see you in the next video, and you guys enjoy the day the Lord has given you. And well, I'll close out with showing you a few more pictures. Really, some of them just so okay, guys. Well, I'll catch you guys later.